Hello there, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Josh Says Things, where I talk a little bit in my car. This technically isn't the first episode because I posted something about maybe a month ago now, just kind of talking, but in my car. And then this morning I was eating and I was like, you know what? It'd be kind of cool if I just did this. So today, what I want to talk about is abortion. It's a very controversial topic. And it appears that the majority of the country is in favor of it. But I am as I'm as fanatic a proponent of the criminalization of abortion in all cases as Olivia Rodrigo and Billie Eilish and other people, other California Democrats, are proponents of just complete and utter free universal access to abortion in any case. And I think what it really comes down to is the environment you're raised in, because I don't think that they would listen to me try and speak rationally about this, and I wouldn't listen to them try and speak rationally about this. There's something deep that I can't have a debate on whether or not abortion is right. I just can't, because something deeper than just in my head, in my soul, I know it's wrong. And it doesn't matter to me what the science says, because science says a lot of things, and it's said several things that have been recently found to not be true. So the science says there's global warming, right? And the science says that humans burning fossil fuels are the reason that the earth is warming, right? And we're just going to discount the fact that the earth has been warming and cooling for millennia. The little ice age, if anyone remembers that period, but no one talks about that. Anyways, whether or not you believe in climate change, I haven't looked into it to actually formulate an opinion, but the science definitely says that humans are behind it. And so basically, the best possible solution to climate change, to stop it instantly and irreversibly and try and get the earth back to its natural state, is the extermination of the human race. Let those words sink in. The extermination of the human race. But do we listen to the science on that? No, we do not. We try and find other alternatives that lead to less taking of human life and more positive, as positive an impact as possible, short of the actual solution. So I think that's kind of what abortion is. It's kind of like a switch up. It's on a very small scale. But I feel like it's just waved in your face as a catch-all type thing, instead of actually addressing the real issue. The real issue being, the underlying culture of sleeping around that America is just so guilty of. Because if people weren't promiscuous, if they didn't go and find everyone else and get with them, there wouldn't be abortions, because people would be celibate, and you can't have an abortion without first having had, done the dirty. So there's that. But you see what I mean? I feel like abortion is wrong because, I don't know, you can have whatever opinion on sex that you like. But in the same way, you have to acknowledge that abortion comes from people panicking because they had sex unprotected. So I don't know. Number one, use protection, because if there's no conception, then there's no life that you are preventing from being lived. But you know what I mean? Like, I mean, all these people are just like, go sleep with your boyfriend, sleep with his brother, sleep with everyone. And it's like, that's not healthy. And it leads to very unhealthy outcomes like abortion. Abortion would not exist if there wasn't a problem with people sleeping around. Like, let's just be real with us. Let's just be real here. It shouldn't exist. It's like a convenience to try and fix a problem that can only be solved a certain way, but they don't want to actually face the real solution. Like climate change. The real solution is, the ending of the human race. Do I think that should be done? No. I like being human. I like being alive. But all these measures to, stop oil and gas and start going electric and that, well, let's say it, that leftists really just tout as measures to combat climate change, they're not the solution anymore than preventing lives from being lived. The lives of innocent people that have no self-determination. Wait, that sentence just went somewhere, and I don't know where I went. I did not go with the sentence. Sorry. Okay. But, what was I saying? Sacrificing a life that has no self-determination and preventing it from ever being lived is not the solution to your problem with getting with everyone. It may be a solution temporarily because you don't have to deal with a teenage pregnancy or, a pregnancy in general, and you don't want to have to deal with the fact that you are going to become a mother. You don't want to deal with that fact, so you just find an easier solution. I mean, so I guess it kind of makes sense that leftists are behind both, because they're not interested in really thinking about and finding the root causes, the root explanations, and figuring out how to stop the root problems. You know what I mean? They're into I don't know, solutions for the now and the temporary, but not actually. You know what it is? They stop the symptoms. They don't cure the disease. Right? And I mean, it's just it's kind of the culture of where I live. It's a very conservative place, I'd say. And so I don't know. I mean, before I could even form thoughts and opinions about politics, it was just drilled into my head nonstop that abortion is wrong. And I never really knew why abortion was wrong, right? I mean, I just knew it was. And then I started looking into it as I got older, and I started, accepting my beliefs that my parents gave down to me and finding my own beliefs, because I definitely don't fit into the cookie cutter mold that they shape for me. But I also don't disagree with them on a lot of points. I just feel like I'm more open-minded, maybe. I'm willing to hear you out on so many things that my parents would just no on. But the one thing that I cannot hear anyone out on is abortion. I mean, I don't know. It's a cop-out. And if you look at it as fetal personhood and whether personhood starts at conception, I think it does. But whether or not you think, a person starts being a person in the womb or at some point along the stage of development or the second that they breathe their first breath, I don't care what you think. Because even if you consider it murder or just whatever, extermination of a fetus, how do I even say this diplomatically? Fetal non-existence anymore. Whether you think that it's a bunch of cells just kind of getting unattached or detached from each other, or if you think it's a human baby that is just not that is being murdered, you have to admit that there is a human life that is going to waste, that is not being lived. And I think that's really my big thing with it. Because no matter whether or not you consider it murder, it is still the ending of a human life, and that should be avoided at all costs. And these people don't, these babies don't deserve it, because they haven't had a chance to, cry their first cry, make their first mistake, do their first bad thing. And we're depriving them of not only that, but all the good things that come with life. Just like the joy in the small things, like the beauty of nature, the beauty of romance and love. Just so much beauty in the world. And I think that it's just so awful that it's lauded by people. Like lauded by people. Because they're like, abortion is just the thing that, oh, my mom's leaving. Abortion is just the thing that can make developing nations develop. And it's like, no, family planning is, if you sit down and you're like, our resources can go for this amount of kids. And then you have sex based on, the amount of kids that you want to have and can feasibly have, not just overconsumption, basically. It's like you're just kind of existing, and then you're like, I like food, and that's good. Liking food is a very good thing. You kind of need to like food to continue living, but in the same breath, over liking food is a bad thing, and not liking food at all is also a bad thing. There has to be a healthy medium. And that's what I think, family planning is. Because, you sit down and you figure out, I can have this many kids. I want this many kids. And our resources will max out at this many kids. And instead of having, abortion as, stopping a person from living, number one, put the kid up for adoption. Number two, if you just, are living in, India or something, and there's no place to adopt kids out, don't abort them. Just don't have them. Stop, pump the brakes, or find condoms. I don't know. I just think, and then China's one-child policy, sure, that worked. I mean, it stopped the growth of so many, the population growth, but it also stopped so many lives full of beauty, full of pain, full of everything that makes us human from ever happening. I think that is not just a shame. I think that's evil. I think every human life deserves to be lived fully, completely, which is why I'm also against suicide. I'm against euthanasia. It's a principle called consistent life ethic that was originally made by Catholics to try and unite more liberal Catholics that are we should abolish the death penalty, which I agree with, and more conservative Catholics that are we should abolish the death penalty, and also more conservative Catholics that are we should ban abortion. I think that movement, I mean, it was kind of a failure, but I think it really was a good kind of distillation of this idea of life is sacred, and you can't just be in opposition to one and not the other. So I'm going to try my best in my life, and I am trying my best in my life and have tried my best to prevent human death from happening, especially killing. Any means that end the life that are not natural, I'm so against. Because the fact is, Buddhism did get it right with this one. Suffering is a part of life. And you have to accept the suffering, and you have to find whatever you can on the suffering, the bright spots, the beauty, the happiness, whatever you can scrounge out of those bad moments, And you need to use that as motivation to keep going, because the suffering is not forever. I heard it said once that life is suffering well. And I think it's kind of true. Because, I mean, the backdrop of human life is really just suffering, is cruelty, is war. But in the face of those things, like without those things, there couldn't be beautiful things like happiness, healthiness, life, peace. And I think our duty to live on this, or like to be on this earth as a human race, is really to commit ourselves to not the abolishment of suffering, because suffering will persist whether we want it to or not, but the abolishment of the things that lead us to feel as though we're suffering, right? Like, you can't get rid of the suffering, but you can try your hardest to make your, like, it starts with you. You have to try your best to make your circle, your home, your family, your group of friends, you have to make that a peaceful place. And then you move on a little bit. You try and make your city a peaceful place. And then you move from there. You have to make your state or province or territory a peaceful place. And then from there, your country, and from there, the world. But it starts with you waking up and making the choice every day to try and work towards peace and prevent suffering. Because that helps, prolong life. And I think preservation of life and sanctity of life is just a really big thing that we should care more about. I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, I don't know. I was thinking about whether to bring in like my like 3 tenets of human life into this, but it's long enough as it is, and I'll just leave that for maybe the next episode. But yeah, I don't know. I think those are kind of all the thoughts I had on abortion, and then I just got into sanctity of life and suffering. And obviously our purpose is to, serve and follow our Lord Jesus Christ. But I think people of faith and people not of faith alike can agree that, number one, suffering's a part of everything, and number two, the goal of the human race is to try and erase all of the barriers that divide us. Like, I'm not saying that in like an atheistic, communistic type perspective, because I don't think religions divide us. I think characterizing other religions and not trying to understand them is what's wrong. I think you can have different religions. I think you can have different skin colors. Like, I'm not going to say we should all just be the same skin color, because that's impossible. It can't happen. But I think the big thing that we need to work against is people looking at other skin colors as bad. And people looking at other religions as bad. I really just want to promote kind of an environment of peace and understanding. As long as it doesn't have to do with abortion, but just based around the sanctity of life. And I think that starts personally. And I know it's kind of hard for me, Like, it's like, do you want to hear the latest gossip? And it's like, yeah, I do. Because I am curious and I'm kind of an investigator. And it's like, that's none of your business. And if people know that their secrets are being traded, that leads to suffering. And suffering leads to all the problems of the world. War, death, famine. So it definitely, I think your actions have a ripple effect, although I hate the butterfly effect type name for it. I just want to say ripple effect. And they impact people more than you know. And if you choose kindness today, and you choose kindness every day as much as you can, I think you're making a difference even if you can't see it. I just want to leave you with a Bible verse. I don't know references. I just kind of read and then like remember. But finally, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. So yeah, I don't know. Live at peace with everyone. Stay safe. Try and eradicate suffering as best you can in, you know, your own life and in the lives of the people around you. Just try and stand up for life and freedom and all the wonderful things that come with being alive and working against, I don't know, just evil in a word. So yeah, stay safe, be safe, and promote safety and peace and happiness. I love you guys. Bye.